Welcome, my friends of the interwebs, and welcome to a very special limited edition of Amtrak Stories. Listen to me. This is important. Before I allow you to board this train, right out of the gate, I'm going to tell you this. This story will be very adult in nature. It is rated R, not X, but well. No, R. It's rated R. Here's the drill. If you are offended by discussions or stories talking about human sexuality, this video is not for you. If you are offended by foul language, this video is not for you. If you are going to in any way lose respect for me if you listen to a video with both an adult content or profanity, then this video is not for you. So you have been forewarned, period. This video is for those people, adult. Not to say that people that are offended by such stories and such things are not adults. It's just that this is an adult-laden story. This story is real. It is real life. It is my real life. And as most of you who know me have come to expect, 100% real deal. Unabridged, unbastardized, the straight skinny. Okay, now, I've said all that. Hopefully by now, everybody who would fit into the category of, I don't know, pious or whatever, hopefully you've already left. If you've not left, the rest of this is on you. Now, there will be another disclaimer. This story will be 100% as I recall it. Now, this has been, well over 10 years ago. So, oh God, it's been even longer. It's been a long time ago. But I will be very, very honest and very truthful about the events as I remember them. For the most part, it will be spot on. Now, I am not going to complete this story. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. Do not ask me what happened. Do not send me PMs and say to me, hey, bro, it's your boy. Can you tell me what you did? None of that. I'm going to leave the story where I leave the story. It's still worth listening to. It's to me, one of my more interesting escapades, you know, or as Al Sharpton would call it, escalade. But it is what it is. I'm not going to finish it, and you'll know why when I get there, just because it's a personal thing, and you can make whatever judgments you feel like making in regards to what my decisions were at the end. Now, let's get to the story. Let's get to the story. I don't even remember. Normally I would start by, this was whatever year. I don't even know. I can't remember. I was a fairly young conductor. In fact, I do not believe that I was even a promoted conductor yet. In fact, I'm almost 100% positive that I was not. I was working as an assistant conductor. And yeah, because this was before I moved out to Albuquerque, and I don't believe I got promoted to be conductor until I got out to Albuquerque. So, some people on freight would call my position a flagman, you know, I guess maybe even a brakeman, but basically I was the assistant to the conductor. Yeah, and hence the hat, assistant conductor. You know, my seniority did not allow me to do much more than that. Now, the way this worked for me was I was working out of Toledo at this time. In fact, I was hired out of Toledo to work the trains that ran from Toledo to Chicago and Toledo to Pittsburgh. The story that I'm going to be telling you will be the story of my run to Pittsburgh. I cannot remember the train number. There was a couple of trains that left Toledo for Pittsburgh. This particular run, though, was known to all of us as the money train. You know, if you've never worked for the railroad or have never known anybody to work for the railroad, it probably won't make any sense to you, but different trains pay better. Or I shouldn't say pay better. Different trains pay differently. So what I mean by that is when you're a railroad conductor, depending on what your union contract is, but for the most part, it's pretty standard stuff. When you're away from home, after a certain amount of hours, you actually go back on the clock, regardless if you're working or not. So you could be at a restaurant or be at your hotel and be literally being paid as if you were working. There's all kinds. In fact, I wish I would have thought to bring, because I actually still have a lot of my gear, I wish I would have thought to bring a pay slip to show you how we filled those out. But when you're a railroad conductor or an engineer, trainman, whatever you want to say, you get all kinds of stuff. You get held away time, you get meal money, you get short consist money, you get all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so hence different trains, depending on what the layovers were, paid differently. But this particular train that went to Pittsburgh was the money train. And it was a really sweet gig because we would roll into Pittsburgh, if I can remember correctly, right around 7 o'clock at night. And then we wouldn't have to be back to the train station until, I think, 3:30 in the afternoon, or 3:30 in the afternoon the next day. So the cool thing about that was it gave you time to be able to actually explore the city, check out different venues. For example, I don't even know how many Pittsburgh Penguin games that I actually viewed or watched. The hotel that we stayed at when we were in Pittsburgh, the Amtrak cruise, was the Ramada. Now, I don't know where they stay now, but back then it was the Ramada. And the Ramada is literally right next door to the arena where the Penguins play. And there was always guys out there scalping, the ticket scalpers. And, we would get there. We'd stroll over there and I usually wait till after first period. And then you could get tickets fairly cheap, depending on what the game was. And then go check out a game. And it was kind of nice because then you could grab a bite to eat or whatever, meander back to the room, chill. The rooms that we had at the Ramada were sweet. I mean, well, they were sweet. They were sweet. They were nice. They had kitchens. They weren't huge kitchens, but they had the usual refrigerator, stove, microwave. And they didn't have a couch. I think they had like a love seat, and then they had a recliner. And then, of course, a queen-size bed. The rooms really were they were too good for the likes of us, that's for sure. So, but one of the nice things about being on this particular run is that I did get to really explore Pittsburgh, and it was a lot of fun. Pittsburgh's a very, very interesting city. Ungodly cold in the wintertime. but I learned a lot about things in regards to Pittsburgh. Let me give you an example. If you're in downtown Pittsburgh, I have to tell you this. Now, it's been a long time, so maybe things have changed, but the most ultimate fish sandwich you will ever find is at a place called I want to say it's called the Oyster House. And it was just off the hook. A phenomenal fish sandwich. I mean, if you're down with fish sandwiches, which I am, phenomenal fish sandwich. And a really, really, really great titty bar. Within walking distance of the Ramada. Which leads me into the story you've all came for. So I'm a young guy. I'm not married. Don't have any kids. This is back then. I'm still not married. Don't have any kids, but I'm not so young anymore. But I'm a young guy. I mean, I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm by myself. The thing about, for the most part, the money train was that the people who worked that as their regular jobs had all the seniority in the world because those trains paid over $100,000 a year. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Over $100,000 a year. So to hold that job, you had to have major seniority, which means you were older than mud. So when I got there, I was always working with a crew that was fossils. That's what they were. They were freaking fossils. So it wasn't like I was going to hang with these guys. So for the most part, I guess I should explain this. When you're young with the railroad and you don't have any seniority, or hell, some railroads, depending on what railroad you're with, even if you have a lot of seniority, you have to have a lot. You work what's called the extra board. And the extra board people are guaranteed 40 hours a week, whether you work or you don't work. In fact, if you never get called for the whole week, as long as you are available, you get paid at least 40 hours. If you manage to get out on multiple trips, you can actually make more than your 40 hours. But you're guaranteed 40 hours to be on call 24/7. And that, for Amtrak at least, it was 6 days a week. And I'm not going to get into all the nuances of the extra board, but it can be a pretty sweet gig. Sometimes you feel like Jesse James. If you don't get called out all week, you pick up a check for 40 hours and you didn't really do anything. It's kind of sweet. Now, the downside to that is if you're out partying or something and they call you, you have to mark off because you can't go in drunk. It's just the way it is. Though, I'm not even going to tell those stories yet. I might tell those stories later, but for now I won't. So anyway, I know I'm taking the long road to this. The conductor and the engineer that I worked with on this particular train, on this particular night, or day I should say, were old as Moses. So, here I am in Pittsburgh. I don't even remember how old I was at this point, but I was still young. And I'm like, I'm going to go out for a beer. So I'm exploring the place by myself, walking, because, I'm walking. And I run into this place, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of this place. It was just one of those seedy downtown strip clubs, is what it was. That's exactly what it was. Seedy downtown strip club. And I am pretty certain that 99.999% of the strippers were also hookers. That's what I'm pretty sure of, you know. So, but I would go down there and I would kick back and I would drink an Iron City beer. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, it's kind of, I don't want to call it an acquired taste, but kind of. I'd love to see somebody do a beer review on it. I'm sure there's beer reviews on this beer, but maybe looking for me, Marble. Somebody who lives in that area. But Iron City, you know, it seems to me he actually did one of those. Anyway, I'm one of those people that I want to experience the local stuff. So, I mean, I had a choice between that or Budweiser or whatever I wanted, but I chose Iron City beer because, you know what, I was in Pittsburgh. That's just the way I am. And so I'm sitting there, I'm drinking this beer, minding my own business. And the way this strip club was set up, let me use some props. Okay, let me try to figure out how I'm gonna do this. Let me move this hat for a minute. Let's say this was the strip club. This was the stage, okay? And let's say these were all seats, actually pretty close to what it looked like. And in the back of the club was a row of seats against the wall. Let's say the door was over here when you would walk in. So you'd have the strippers working this. Over here would be your couch dance area. And they had like this these sheets that kind of they were like private rooms, and they would pull these drapes around, kind of like these long drapery things. And then, but anyway, that's not really important to this story. So here I am. I'm watching the strippers on the stage, and I'm sitting against the back wall all by myself, drinking my Iron City beer. Minding my own business. Minding my own business. Just taking in the evening show. That's all I was doing. You know. The talent on the stage, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. They were some wore out whores. There's no other way to describe these broads. Wore out whores. But you know what? I'm a young guy, got nothing else to do, drinking some beers and watching some naked chicks. You know, it is what it is. Well, all of a sudden, this beautiful, and I mean gorgeous, smoking hot, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not feeding you full of shit, smoking hot chick comes right up next to my seat and sits down. And I just was like, you know, well, first I thought, well, she's a hooker. Has to be, because what are the odds? But the thing is, it was kind of weird because she was kind of too good looking to be any hooker that would be working that club, if you know what I'm saying. Somebody of her caliber would have easily been doing an escort service and making a shit ton more money than she could have been making, because the majority of the patrons in this strip club were, you know, dirtbags. They were, you know, they were downtown dwelling kind of, you know, midnight running dirtbags, you know. That's what they were. I never got the sense that it was a dangerous place to be, but it wouldn't have shocked me if gunfire would have erupted. or some pimp would have walked in and started pimp slapping his bitch or some shit, you know, or his hoe. But anyway, this chick sits down next to me and she says, hi. And you know, here's the funny thing. And I'm pretty suave. I'm not going to lie to you. I've always had a way with the words. I've always been able to sweet talk to girls. I've never been intimidated by women, and this night was no different. But what's weird is, the only thing that I could think to say was, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? I swear to you, that's what I said. So she looks at me and she says, the same thing you are. And all right. So I looked at her, I go, so what, checking out the naked chicks? And she goes, no, trying to get laid. And I'm like, holy shit. So now I'm back to thinking she's a working girl. And so I said to her, I said, listen, I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm just here for a quiet evening. I said, now I didn't have my conductor's uniform on. I think I had some jeans and a button down. And I said, listen, I'm just kind of enjoying the evening. I'm in town for business, and I'm not really looking for any action. I said, but good luck, and I hope you make a lot of money. So I said to her, because, I support the working girls. They got to make a living. So she looks at me, and she goes, no, you don't understand. I'm not a hooker. And I'm like, I'm just like, okay. So you're just the smoking hot chick who decided, and by the way, I was much better looking back then, I have to admit. I'll show you guys pictures sometime. But I'm thinking, smoking hot chick that just happens into the seedy dirt ball of a freaking strip joint, and you sit down next to me just to hang? I don't know. So she says to me, she goes, you see that guy over at the bar? Now, when you walked in, over to the left here of the stage was a bar where you could buy beers and whatnot, and then they had waitresses and whatnot. But there was a little bar. It only had maybe 5 or 6 stools in front of it. Most of the people would sit at the tables to watch the show, because the bar was kind of off to the side. It wasn't a very good place if you were just going to watch the show. And what I mean by show is the naked chick swinging on the brass poles. So that's the show, for better or for worse. So I look over and there's this dude. I never noticed him before. Of course, why would I? That's not why. I was looking at either the chicks, the stripping chicks, or the broad that came up and sat down next to me. I wasn't looking at the bar. There was nothing there that interested me. But sure enough, here's this guy, and he's staring at me. And I'm like, seriously? What the? This is just weird. And she says to me, she goes, listen, that's my husband. And we're looking for a threesome tonight. And we discussed it and decided that you would be perfect. And I'm like, holy shit. And I said to her, it was weird because, like I said, I'm kind of a smooth operator. I'm not really frazzled when it comes to indecent proposals or any goofy shit like that. But that one kind of took me for a bit of a surprise. I wasn't really exposed to the whole swinger lifestyle. So I just kind of, it took me a second to kind of gather my thoughts. And meanwhile, I'm looking at this dude, and he's staring at me. He's literally staring. He didn't have a pissy look or anything like that, but he was staring, and it was just weird. And his wife is literally sitting next to me, talking about me hooking up with her and her husband. So I said to her, listen, I don't know you. I said, for all I know, you guys have this bizarre fantasy of killing some dude. I said, I don't know. I'm not interested. It's just not something. Now, I have been with a couple of chicks before. I'd never been with a chick and her husband, or any chick or dude for that matter. And so I was just kind of like, no, I'm just not really interested. No, And she said, and I said to her, I said, listen, I said, it's not you. You are very beautiful. I said, I'm sure a million guys have told you that. It's not you. It's just that I'm just here for the night. I'm here. I came in on business. I'm leaving tomorrow. I said, I'm just not. It's just no. No. And I was, I will admit, I was off my game. I just wasn't. So she said, well, thank you very much for the kind words. And she got up and walked back to her husband at the bar. Well, then I went back to looking at the strippers because I kind of was weirded out by the whole thing, and I wasn't focused. I did not even want to look at them. Yeah, it was just too weird of a situation. So I'm paying attention to the strippers doing their thing, and all of a sudden, this dude, her husband, sits down. Now I'm sitting here. I'm unprepared. I'm sitting here, okay. Her husband comes down and plops down and sits in his seat to the right of me. And he says, listen, he goes, my wife told me you were kind of weirded out by the situation. I just want to say how it would be totally cool. I'm not looking to be with you, and I'm not looking for you to be with me. Here's the thing. I married my wife when she was very young. And she didn't get to experience a lot of the things. She's much younger than me. And I just want her to get to experience some of the things, as opposed to her going out behind my back and sowing some oats that she should have sowed. And I said to the dude, I said, listen, I can appreciate what you're saying to me. I said, I get it. I completely understand it. I said, but, I'm just not down with it. I'm just not. I'm just not. I get it. I understand it. I wish you guys the best of luck, but I'm just not down with it. I said, I just want to sit here. I want to have a couple more beers. I want to watch the show. Then I want to go back to my hotel. And then tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to go home. That's what I'm going to do. And he's like, the next thing I know, now listen, I'm looking to the right at him. I didn't even notice the old lady coming up and sitting down next to me on that side. So now I've got him on the right, her on the left, me in the middle. Now they're both working at me. Then now listen, the chairs were against the back wall. There was a table, kind of like what you would have at a wedding reception. A long table in front, okay? I don't know how, 12-foot table, 10, I don't, whatever. Maybe 12-foot, listen, I don't know what they were, but 8-foot table, I guess. She takes her hand and grabs my junk. It starts rubbing like that. And I'm just like, holy shit. The whole time, she's telling me how awesome it's going to be. He's telling me, look, I just want to watch you bang my wife. I swear to God, on my freaking eyes, this is the truth. Everything I've told you is 100% true. So, she's rubbing my junk. He's talking to good talk. She's whispering in my ear. In fact, at this point, she starts kissing on my ear. Starts giving my ear a little tongue action. And I'm just like, this can't be happening. She was an awesome looking broad. She was smoking hot. She really was. And there I am, prime of my life. Prime of my life. And I'm like, and I got to be honest with you, these are the things I'm thinking about. I'm like, if he just wants to watch me do his wife, well, who am I to say no? And I'm thinking to myself, of course, it was like the proverbial, I had angel on one shoulder, devil on the other. The devil's like, give it to her. Come on, what's wrong with you? This is a gift from the gods. This shit don't happen every day. Are you kidding me? And then the angel going, what are you, nuts? This chick could be riddled with AIDS, and what are you doing? Are you freaking nuts? You can't do this. No, what if they kill you? It was a crazy, crazy, crazy night, And so there I leave you, and I am not going to complete this. I'm sorry. I'll totally leave it up to you as to what my ultimate decision was. Did I give in to the indecent proposal? Did I not? And I will promise you that I will not tell you. So, it is what it is. But these are some of the things that happened to me while I was a railroad conductor for Amtrak. And I have a million stories. This was one of the better ones. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I've got some, I've got some interesting stories to tell if you're interested. Like I said, a lot of them are adult natured. A lot of them are because, a lot of adult things happen on the railroad. They just do. Mainly because a lot of it revolves around alcohol. And that's a whole story on its own. I mean, I can tell you about a guy in Albuquerque that was Native American, and I'll tell you what, every time I worked with him, holy crap, it was on. So we got a million stories. This is the real life. It's, my real life. This is what happened in my life, and it is what it is, and hopefully nobody judges me. Hey, I was young, I was bored, it was Pittsburgh, and, of course I was going to end up in a titty bar. That's all I got for you. By the way, if you don't know this, couple of things. If you like Amtrak stories or stories about times on the railroad, I believe it's Voodoo Politics 1. I can't get into that account anymore, but Voodoo Politics 1 has a bunch of I don't know how many, I don't remember now, but a bunch of railroad stories. I may retell those and put them over here. I think there may be a couple on Mad Bad Voodoo. I'm not positive. If you like storytelling and you're fairly new to me, go check out my real life stories. Go to my Mad Bad Voodoo and just search my videos for just real life. There's a series there. Start with real life number 1. So it is what it is, guys. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Holy crap, this is probably one of the longest videos I've done in a long time. Over 25 minutes. A lot of people probably won't watch it just because of that, which is fine with me. I just told you that I would tell the story, and now I have. Hopefully it was reasonably entertaining. I wish I could tell you what happened, but I'm just not going to. Listen, everybody, thanks for listening, and if you've been with me this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody take care. See ya!